Hello and welcome to Biometers. Today we will talk about haploid culture and we will discuss about gynogenesis. This video is from our plant tissue culture lecture series. So let's get started. So what is haploid culture? So as we know, haploid culture or haploid plant means the number of chromosomes are reduced to half with for example we have 46 pairs of chromosome in human beings, right? If a haploid organism is there in a human being, then there are only 23 pairs of chromosome, and 23 pairs of chromosome are inherited from one parent, which can be mother, and the other 23 pairs of chromosomes are inherited by father. But if the fusion of gamete is not occurring during the time of fertilization, and the embryo is formed without fusion, then the type of embryo or zygote formed due to such effect is called as haploid plant, haploid organism. But in humans, hypothetically, it is not seen. But in plants, has a capacity to develop haploid plantlets. And there are many different methods by which we can get haploid plantlets. One such example is in nature, which is parthenocarpy. In nature, there is a method in which fruits are formed or flowers are developed without fertilization, which is called as parthenocarpic flowers are developed. Such type of flowers are haploid, or fruits are haploid. An example of a very famous parthenocarpic fruit is strawberries. Okay, so this is a parthenocarpic example. So what is haploid culture? The parthenocarpy differs from haploid culture. Now we will see what is haploid culture. So the dominant life of higher plant is generally a sporophyte, which is 2n. But gametophyte develops after meiosis, which means gametophyte is developed after meiosis, either reduction, which is known as reduction division, and uh, formation of male gamete or male part of flower is called as microsporogenesis, and formation of ovary is called as megasporogenesis, and they both occur in a flower, right? In a plant, basically. And they are always haploid, they are always pure, they are always n in number. The union of this haploid male gamete and a female gamete produces a zygote, and then further this zygote develops into embryo and finally into a sporophyte again. And this is the general life cycle of a plant. An interruption of the normal life cycle of a plant naturally or by inducing certain causes. By naturally, we can see parthenocarpic fruits, which is a natural example, and by inducing, we can produce a haploid plantlet. There are several strategies to develop such type of haploid plantlets. And one such example of developing the haploid plantlets with the help of plant tissue culture is called as haploid culture. And there are, now we will see such development of gametophyte tissue can be induced with the help of haploid culture, which is mentioned in the slide. And the haploid plants are defined as a sporophyte having only a single set of chromosome. As we discussed, only a single set of chromosome is present in such type of plants. So now types of haploid culture. So there are two types of haploid culture in a plant. Either we can take female part of a plant, or we can take male part of plant and inoculate either one, female or male part of a plant, onto a nutrient media to develop a plantlet. So when we take a female part of plant, as described in the diagram, when we take female part of a plant, then we develop then such type of development of haploid culture is called as gynogenesis, which is described in the figure. And if we take male part of a plant, such as anther or pollens, then it is called as androgenesis. Means androgenesis. Andro means antheridium or anther, and genesis means development or formation, right? So these are the two types of haploid culture, and we are going to discuss about gynogenesis. So what is gynogenesis? So gynogenesis, in gynic method, haploid production of plants from ovary or ovule culture is referred to as gynogenesis. So either ovary or ovule is cultured in this type of plant tissue culture method, and thus it is called as gynogenesis. And ovule is a megasporangium. What is a ovule? It is a megasporangium covered by integuments, and that there are different types of ovule. Gynogenesis involves the development of haploid plant from the unfertilized cell. Remember, in gynogenesis or androgenesis, as haploid plantlets are formed, they are unfertilized, and half of the number of chromosome is present in such type of plants. It is the formation of sporophyte from female gametophyte or an artificial media. So this is the second definition. We can say gynogenesis is the formation of sporophyte from female gametophyte on an artificial nutrition media. And we can also add that we provide aseptic conditions for the development of gametophyte. Now discovery. It was discovered by Saint Noam in 1976, and it was discovered in barley plant. But there are different experiments carried on different types of plants such as rice, tobacco, maize, etc. Now we will look at the female part of a flower. So this is the stigma of the plant, of the flower. We can see this is the style, and this portion is called as ovary. So as we have discussed in gynogenesis, we either take ovary of the flower, or we can take the ovule from that ovary. So there are two types. They are also subdivided into two parts, either ovary culture or the ovule culture. Whichever is taken, it is called as gynogenesis, and the method of that is same. Only in ovary culture, the whole portion is taken, while in the ovule culture, ovules are taken out from the ovary. This is the main difference. All right. So now we will see the types of gynogenesis. So there are two types of gynogenesis: direct gynogenesis and indirect gynogenesis. Now, what is direct gynogenesis? Direct gynogenesis usually involves cells. So they are formed from cells like egg cells, synergid cells, and antipodal cells. Either from one cell, the plantlets are developing, and they are organized and they are formed leading to with the help of cell division. They will divide. Sorry, not with the help of cell division. They will divide on a nutrient media and forms a proembryo. And then it leads to differentiation and formation of embryos occur. And then finally the plantlets are developed. But why it is called as direct gynogenesis? Because in direct gynogenesis, there is no formation of callus is seen. So this is called as direct gynogenesis. So directly from any part of the embryo sac, proembryos are formed with rapid division, and then haploid embryos are obtained. Now, what is indirect gynogenesis? So, indirect gynogenesis. In indirect gynogenesis, callus is formed directly from the egg, synergid, polar nuclei or antipodal cells. So here also from any part of the plant, from any part of the embryo sac, first callus is formed. What is callus? Callus is undifferentiated mass of cells which are actively dividing and living. Means it is a green or yellowish texture cells which are actively dividing, but they are undifferentiated. Undifferentiated means there is no distinction of shoot or root in such type of such type of cells. So the first callus formation occurs, and then after the proembryo formation occurs, and then finally into haploid embryos. So the main difference is that in direct embryogenesis, directly from any part of embryo sac, proembryos and embryos are then after embryos are formed, and in indirect embryogenesis, first callus is formed, and then after then after proembryo is formed. Now, what are the factors affecting gynogenesis? So generally, the most important factor which affects the gynogenesis is the temperature. So the optimum temperature, whether it should be the flower should be treated with heat or cold temperature, completely depends on the type of species which we are taking for gynogenesis. Okay, for example, here in sunflower, 24 to 28 hours, the flower buds or the inflorescence part is given 4 degrees Celsius of temperature. So the first factor was temperature. The second is what type of nutrient media we are dealing with. So generally we use MS media, Murasci and Skoog's media, and B5 media for the development of gynogenesis. And in this media, the sugar content should be high in amount, which is 3 to 15% generally. The media used can be solid or liquid. So it can be solid or liquid media. And the growth regulators which are required in the media are mainly auxin 2,4-D and cytokinins. Why? Because in gynogenesis, in indirect type of gynogenesis, we saw that callus is formed, and callus is formed when we give equal amount of auxin and cytokinin in the medium. So this is the reason why we need auxin and cytokinins in our medium. In vitro maturation of embryo sac development pattern. The female gametophyte of ovary in vitro has been studied in onions, rice, barley, and many different plants. So here is an experiment in which ovaries of onions are cultured and they are inoculated onto a nutrient media. Then after, at 3-day interval, in vitro maturation of the embryo sac was seen. And after 12 days, mature embryo sac was present in such type of culture. So this is an experiment. The main drawback, or we cannot say the drawback, but the disadvantages, if we compare gynogenesis and embryogenesis together, then we can tell that anther culture, which is androgenesis, right, is more widely used in plant tissue culture than gynogenesis, because the success ratio is very less. But it is used in some species like onions. Their gynogenesis is more preferred. So this is an example of gynogenesis of onion. This is the onion flower, and these are the plantlets which are developed by micropropagation or gynogenesis. Now we will look at the stages of gynogenesis. So there are 2 stages of gynogenesis. First is induction stage. Here the ovaries are located on a liquid media. The liquid media, the ovaries are kept, and low auxin concentration and dark period is given. This is called as induction stage. And the second stage is called as regeneration stage. In this stage, ovaries are transferred into agar media. So they are transferred into the agar media, and high concentration of oxygen and light is given to the plantlets. So these are the two stages. Now the protocol of gynogenesis. So the first step is collection of the explant. So the experimental plant is taken in controlled conditions, and they are collected. Generally, the plants are collected in the bud stage, because in the bud stage the flower is not open and they have not pollinated, right? And generally the young birds are taken, and this process is done. The collection is done in early morning. Few days, for a few days, and normal size flower is taken. Generally, the flowers are taken in bud condition, which is mentioned. Sterilization. Then after the flower buds are surface sterilized with 5% sodium hypochlorite for 10 minutes. And then after they are sterilized with 3-4 times with distilled water. Even T-pole solution is used for sterilization. Selection of ovary culture. Now, selection of ovary and ovules is done. So using aseptic methods, so if we are taking this flower, we will put that flower in LAF. We will take the flower after sterilization. We will take that flower in the bud condition in the LAF, and then with the help of scalpel and forceps, gently we will remove the pistil of the flower. Ovary or ovule culture. Pistil is taken in a petri dish. Only fully grown pistils are selected, and then they are excised ovary or ovule is taken, and they are put onto a nutrient basal media or MS media. Right. Now the fifth step is incubation. And for incubation, the culture is incubated at 25 degrees Celsius for 14 hours, and the photo period is 2000 lux light. Step 6, which is formation of callus and embryos. Then after incubation, formation of callus, and then finally the embryos and proembryos are formed. Hardening, and then after the plantlets are developed and they are taken into the greenhouse or in the field. There is an important note that if ovaries are unipollinated, it will not grow on simple media. So it needs a special type of media. What is this special type of media? So this is they need minerals. They need minerals, salts and sucrose. Usually, vitamin B to the media, to the normal media, can induce healthy plantlet formation. Now this figure shows the protocol of gynogenesis. So let me take a color. Yeah. So this is the plant. As you can see, this is a plant, right? And then after this from this plant, flower is taken. Then after this, flowers are surface sterilized, and they are washed with distilled water, and then with T-pole solution, then again washed with distilled water, and then finally they are washed with sodium hypochlorite solution, and then again they are washed with distilled water. So after the surface sterilization of flower, they are taken into the LAF, they are taken into LAF, and then after this, ovary or the pistils are removed from the flower. So depending upon what type of culture we want, either regeneration or induction culture, if we are using regeneration type of stage, we want that Then we will give 16 hours of light, 25 degrees Celsius under inflorescence light we will get. While in induction culture, we will not give ovules or the ovary and the explant light, and generally here low concentration of oxygen is given, and generally the regeneration culture high concentration of oxygen is given. So this is the main difference between regeneration and induction culture. And in 2 to 3 weeks we will get a plantlet. So this was all about gynogenesis and the protocol of gynogenesis. Now we will look at the applications of gynogenesis. So main application of gynogenesis is that in the production of haploid plants. As we discussed, it is used in production of haploid plant, but why these haploid plants are needed? So, these haploid plants are needed to achieve in vitro fertilization or for conserving certain types of plants like rare plants, very exotic plants like orchids. We can produce this plant if they are commercially needed, or overcoming embryo absorption at very early stage. So we can form an embryo at very early stage in the zygote when there is a sexual incompatibility between the parents. This type of culture can be performed. Right. Now we will look at the advantages of gynogenesis. So the ability to produce haploid plantlets, why this is used, why it is done? Because the haploid plantlets have a large benefit in production of genetically similar plants and for the plant breeding purpose. In some flowers, reproduction is less and the progeny cannot be obtained. But with help of haploid plant tissue culture, we can get progenies. The next generation can be obtained. The third advantage of gynogenesis is that we can study genetics with the help of gynogenesis, because in gynogenesis we get the progeny is obtained from a single parent. So we can study the heritable characters from mother, and we can also study the heritable character which causes mutation. In an experiment, we can do this. So the heritable studies are simplified due to haploid planting having only one set of chromosome, which we discussed, and hence recessive mutation can be easily identified. So these were the advantages of gynogenesis. Now, as it has many advantages, it has some disadvantages. And the first disadvantage is that the success ratio of gynogenesis is less. Then the frequency of responding is also very low. And the last is that the gynogenesis is very expensive. As the whole plant tissue culture method is expensive. But we can include this as a disadvantage, that it is very expensive and time consuming method. So this was all about gynogenesis. And in our second part of the video, we will discuss about androgenesis, and then we will conclude the haploid culture video. Thanks for watching. तेरे लिए मैं